Hello, I'm Lisa Burkhart-Worley of Pearls of Promise Ministries, and welcome to Pop Talk, the show where you never know what subjects might pop up. Today we have a fabulous program for you today. We're going to have a couple of people who are making a difference worldwide. They've been hosting a birthday party for Jesus at the Dallas Convention Center every year, but this year they have a huge vision, and they're going to be doing something like this worldwide in an operation called One Day 2020. But before I introduce our guests, I want to introduce my co-host today, Dr. Lynette Sim, on a different side today. I just have to get used to this, I guess. And Rosemary LeGrand could not be with us today. So it is my great pleasure to introduce our guest, a good friend for many years, Susie Jennings and Mike Tirone. Susie is the founder of Operation Care Ministries, and Mike is the director of One Day 2020. And so it's great to have you both on Pop Talk. So glad we've been talking about this for a while, but we're finally doing it. But it's perfect timing, as we said earlier before the show. This is the right time, especially with this event that's coming up. So tell me, Susie, let's just give people some background. How did Operation Care actually begin?
In my mother's kitchen. It started when my mother started feeding the homeless in our kitchen in the Philippines. And I grew up not liking the homeless because they ate my food, occupied my space, not knowing that one day God will use that experience to open my eyes to the plight of the homeless. And one day my husband of 9 years disappeared. He was suffering from a chemical imbalance called serotonin deficiency. And so he disappeared from our home. He was in the military, and for a month he was missing. And a month later we found him in the hills of Atoka, Oklahoma. And he committed suicide. And during the time when he was missing, God gave me a verse that said, "Weeping may endure for a night, joy comes in the morning." So that was the verse that carried me until we found David, and we buried David a day before Easter. And he was supposed to sing in our church. The title of his song was Heaven. And the pastor said, now he's singing his song with the Lord, because David accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior when he was a little boy. So I believe with all my heart that David went to be with the Lord, and it was an illness that killed him. And so after that, 3 months later, I had a car accident. I became disabled. And 2 months after that, I was baking a cake in my kitchen, and 30 feet from me, my next door neighbor shot his heart. He committed suicide as well. And that made me really angry with God. I questioned God why. And that night, September 7, 1993, God gave me a dream. In my dream, I was knocking at my neighbor's doors, telling them about Jesus. So the next day I woke up, I said, I'm going to choose joy, because that was the verse that carried me. Joy comes in the morning. So instead of getting mad at God, I said, Lord, what can I do for you? I tell you.
Ooh, be careful when you ask that.
Do not ask God, what can you do for him, if you're not prepared, because he's going to take you out of your comfort zone. And it happened 3 weeks later. I was driving in downtown Dallas from First Baptist Dallas, going home with my mother. We just finished our worship service. I was teaching preschoolers there in that church. And then I heard a voice. We were passing by Canton Bridge. I was driving, and then the voice said, look at your left side. So I looked, and then I saw about 100 men and women living in cardboard boxes. And the voice said, you go under the bridge in person. And I said, no, not me. Those are crazy lunatics. I couldn't stand homeless people, and they're dirty, and I'm a nurse. I'm clean, and I don't want any homeless. I don't want to go there. And guess what the voice said? It was the Lord speaking. He said, you ask me, what can you do for me? Right there and then. Oh, that was my road to Damascus experience, and the Lord changed my heart. So I said, Lord, forgive me, and I will go. What could I take to these people? And the voice said, blankets. So the next day, 26 hours from the time I heard the voice of God, I went to work for the Lord. I was supervisor at Baylor Hospital, a nurse supervisor, and I was also working for the Lord the next day, because I went to Baylor and asked all doctors and nurses for $5 so I could buy blankets. And that's how it started, the blanket ministry. So we went in the streets and give away blankets. And then in 2001, we became a nonprofit. And we gave away 1,000 blankets in the streets of Dallas. and the homeless started calling me the blanket lady. And then after that, a few years later, God put in my heart to hold a big birthday party for Jesus at Dallas Convention Center. And the goal is evangelism is the number one heart of the ministry because of the knocking, my dream, knocking in the door of my neighbor's doors, telling them about Jesus. And the trademark was foot washing. So we started a big birthday party in 2004. So now we are 17 years old at Dallas Convention Center. So we provide them with one-on-one evangelism. Then we take them to the foot washing area. We wash their feet and put on socks and shoes, and then we take them to the coat, sleeping bags, blankets, eyeglasses, dentists, food, entertainment, lawyers, free counseling, free phone calls. And then with children's area, we have zip lines, pony rides, petting zoo, rock wall climbing. And the best part of that is a big birthday celebration wherein we share Jesus and the love of Christ to the people, and thousands got saved. And that was the beginning of an amazing story of now we wanted it to go worldwide.
So, Susie, you said that the event is held at the Dallas Convention Center, and you do this annually. You're 17 years doing this. How many homeless people do you serve at this event? And you know, what is their reaction to being invited to such an event?
Oh my goodness. So the first year of the event, we did not really even call the media. We did not tell the media. 8,500 people came on the first event, 8,500 homeless and poor in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then 1,500 volunteers coming from 122 churches. We have a list of the names of churches. So now this is our 17th year. So we range from 6,000 guests to about 15,000 guests. It depends on the year. Sometimes when it's too cold or just freezing, you know, so it depends on the weather. So the best part, of course, is thousands got saved in this ministry. And when we refer them to, we give their names to Christian homeless shelters for follow-up if they could be followed up. And we have stories, we have different stories that change lives of people. We have a woman who lived under the bridge with 3 children, 2-year-old, 7 and 9. So every night she would tie them in her waistline. They live under the bridge. She was kicked out from their home by her husband because the husband had another woman in the house. So they ended up under the bridge. And then she called me. She said, Susie, I went to your party, but I did not find you. Could you please send us back to our home in Rochester, New York? I said, tell me your story. She said, well, at nighttime, I will tie my children with me so nobody could take them out. And then I said, how about the food? She said, I will steal from a grocery store. And then I said, how about money? She said, I will sell myself. And that, I cried, I wept, and the phone. I said, yes, we will send you to your home. So she gave me the number and the name, Betty, the mother-in-law. So I called the mother-in-law, and the mother-in-law was ecstatic on the other line. So that was Sunday. By Tuesday, 3 board members and 3 volunteers picked her up and from Salvation Army, and then took her to the bus. And then we paid $200 per ticket, and then gave them money, then gave them food. And my volunteer took off her leather long jacket and gave it to Donna on the way on the step of the bus. It was a very heartwarming. And then I followed up, make sure Donna was okay. And Donna now is in an apartment, and the children are in school.
That is amazing. I mean, I just think it's great. And there's a number of stories like that where you've helped some of the homeless get on their feet and actually have a job and find a place to live, which is, you know, it's not just about reaching out to them one day. There's continuous action that you guys are doing to help the homeless. And now you guys want to take it worldwide, which is an amazing undertaking. And Mike Tirone, you are the director of One Day 2020. How is this day going to be different from all those other days that you've done before?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to replicate. We're going to do what they've done in Dallas for 16, 17 years. We're going to do this all over the place. We're going to do it in 50 states. That's the goal. And in as many countries as we can. And as of today, we've got over 100 countries. I mean, that's amazing. Wow. When you say something like what I just said, it's really an impossible task from a human perspective. And I've always been drawn, that's what I think I've been drawn to tasks that you need God to step in. We work with a supernatural God. And when you think about taking, by faith, saying, "Hey, we're gonna get all these countries, we're gonna get these states, and we're gonna do what we did in Dallas," and nobody's ever done that before, it seems like a daunting task. But there's something beautiful about when you activate your faith. You take the steps, and then you see God start to open the doors. So really, this year has been a challenging year because we've had the pandemic, we've had all these different things. This would have been a daunting task, Susie, right? Even without COVID. But I think my faith has been stretched dramatically. I know Susie has. But what I think we're seeing that if you will walk it out, God will show up. And I think that's the lesson that in this season, we're starting to see that.
One word,
Go ahead.
unstoppable.
Unstoppable. That's
Yeah.
right. Sometimes we have to take a step into the river, right? Like the Israelites did with the Ark of the Covenant before God will stop the waters, will part the waters for us. We have to take that step of obedience. And I know I've had to do that in my life, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, but you do it, and then the Lord begins to work. He wants to see if you trust Him and have faith. Now, I know you're a big prayer warrior, as we all are. Prayer is so important to me. And every year you start the year, Susie, at a prayer mountain or a place like that. You fast and you pray. And God gave you directives for this one day 2020, didn't He? And there's some big plans that He gave you that seems impossible, but they're starting to come to fruition. Can you talk about that?
Well, we are now in 11 countries, Operation Care. So we are in Philippines, India, Kenya, Taiwan, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Israel, Jordan, Brazil, Nepal. And then while I was in Indonesia in 2012 doing Operation Care Christmas in July for about 4,000 children and 5,000 adults, we helped them with backpacks and food and also share Jesus. The same thing we do here. It's always sharing the gospel and doing foot washing. So while we were there, I was going to the airport, going back to the States. My guide took us to the prayer mountain in Indonesia. As soon as I got to the prayer mountain, the Spirit of God just enveloped me and told me, said, "You're going to come back in this place again." I said, wow, the presence of God was so amazing in that prayer mountain. That was July 2012. By December 2012, I went back, December 31, I went back to that prayer mountain. And then I decided I'm going to fast from January 1 to 7, no food, just prayer and fasting. And that's when the Lord started speaking to me. So Vision 1 Day 2020 started in Indonesia, Prayer Mountain. The first year He said, "You're going to have your event in 50 states. The next year He said, I went back to Indonesia. The next year He said, "You're going to have your event in all over the world." Okay, 50 states and then all over the world. The third year I was in Prayer Mountain in South Korea, the largest prayer mountain in the world. God spoke. He said, "You're going to have your event in the evening to culminate the morning event. There will be a celebration, evangelistic celebration, like a crusade type for us here, evangelistic celebration, and Franklin Graham is going to lead it." That was on the third year. The fourth year, I was in a prayer mountain in California, and then the Lord spoke. He said, "You're going to minister to children internationally, specifically children ages 7 to 12. 7 is a perfect number, and 12, and it's also the age where they go to school so they could understand evangelism. 12 is the 12 tribes and also the 12 disciples. So that was that's the cutoff age for the children. So that was the fourth year, and then the fifth year, it says evangelism and foot washing will be the center of this event. And then on the sixth year was the best part. The sixth year, I was in the prayer mountain in the Philippines. This is amazing. The Lord said, "You're going to have this event all over the world, and you're going to pay the countries $10,000 per country." I said, "Yes, I'm going to do 20 countries in honor of 20. And Susie could do it. Susie could do 20. I could go to 20 donors and ask and beg them 10,000 to adopt a country. Well, I got home in Dallas, and that was in the middle of January 2018. And then February 1st, 2018, I was with my volunteer in our office. We were packing, we were putting envelopes and stamps in envelopes and letters. The Lord spoke. I have a phone in my right side. The Lord said, "Call Ben, your friend." So I dialed the phone. "Hello, Ben." He didn't answer. Put it back. I continued working. 5 minutes later, the Lord said, "Pick up your phone," because my phone was not ringing. So I picked it up. Ben was on the line. hello, Ben. He said, hi, Susie. I'm sorry. When you called me, my plane just landed. I came from another country. How is 2020 going? I said, oh, I just arrived from the Philippine Prayer Mountain. And guess what? The Lord said we're going to give 10,000 per country to go towards the footwear of children. And there will be evangelism, and there will really be a party. And we could do 20, Ben. He said, no, Susie, there's no 20 countries. There's 240 countries according to CIA. So this is what I wanted you to do. My friends are coming from Nepal, my board member, and also another one from Colorado Springs, and he used to be the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. So go and speak to them about the vision. Do not ask for money, and I will take care of $2.4 million for 240 countries. I'll take care. 3-minute phone call, $2.4 million was given by God when I just heard the voice, call Ben. That's all. So you better obey when God tells you to do something. Obedience immediately. It's unconditional obedience. And that have been my life, because I have to listen. And you could hear the voice of God, because the Bible said, my sheep will hear my voice. So we need to really be close to the Lord. Fast and pray and read the Word every day and do your prayer walk. And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, you have to listen. That's important.
I was going to say, because Susie, you did listen, because you now have the well-known evangelist Franklin Graham coming to be part of your One Day 2020. Can you explain his role in this, and how did that connection actually happen? Because you're just given his name, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to make this happen. So tell us how God made that happen.
Okay, I would continue my last, that was my sixth thing. On the seventh thing was around the world, and the next one was 50 states. So now we're gonna pay the 50 states. That was the seventh one. So Franklin Graham, because he was the number 3 on the third year, that was what the Lord told us. So Franklin Graham, we met with TBN actually, and then through them, we met with Gateway Church, and through them we connected with Franklin Graham.
It was supernatural.
Yes.
What happened was Ken Barron, who's the chief of staff of Franklin Graham, he was homeless in 2004 on the streets of Houston. And when we were at the Dallas Country Club, and we were casting vision for One Day 2020. And we just said, hey, could anybody help us connect with Franklin Graham? I mean,
I was there that
okay,
day.
you were
Yes,
there.
I was.
Yeah,
I
and a
think I
guy
was there.
raised his hand, one of the guys in the audience, and he said, my name's Jerry, and I think I could help. That was on a Tuesday or Wednesday. The following Monday, he said, come to Gateway. We met with Tom Lane. Tom Lane pulled somebody in his office, and this guy came in. He said, I'm going with Franklin this Saturday on a 9-city tour in the Carolinas. He said, give me all your material. We handed it to him. And then that guy connected us. They called us back, and it just kept going. Then we met with Ken, and he had a heart. He connected with Susie. I mean, who couldn't? I mean, here's the thing. She genuinely has a heart for the Lord, and nobody will stop her. It's contagious. I like to say it's contagious. But what you see is that she puts herself, there's a lesson to be learned. She puts herself in a position for God to do a miracle. And a lot of us, we just don't take that step like you were talking about. You actually have to walk into the flooded Jordan, and there needs to be that fear for a minute for God to actually perform the miracle. Susie does that over and over again. So it's fun to watch this.
Yes, and it is contagious.
Yeah.
I want to be around Susie as much as possible. I have limited bandwidth, but I just want to be in her presence because I do feel the Spirit of the Lord on her, and obviously you want that to happen to us as well.
Yeah, so talking about fear though, and stepping into it, we still have this virus going on. Yeah. And you're talking about creating an event where there's going to be thousands of volunteers, thousands of homeless people. Then of course you have all the speakers and I mean, just the event itself. Of course, you may still be wearing masks, social distancing. How does this look, happening in December? What is this going to take for you guys? Should there still be, such heavy regulations based on this virus?
Yeah, and we are going to adhere to CDC and whatever is the city. They already gave us the
safety protocols.
So we're going to obey that, and we already ordered stuff, PPEs. We're already getting ready for that. And so, as what I said, unstoppable. No virus can stop Jesus' birthday.
Yeah.
God is going to protect this ministry because this is all about Him. So I believe this pandemic is also a way of God opening the eyes of the world for them to look up to Him as author and finisher of our faith, and that He's the one in control. So guys, I mean, He will end the year with a celebration, a birthday celebration so massive that hashtag one day millionaires, H-E-I-R-S. No, I don't want millions. One day billionaires. So we're going to erase millions. One day billionaires. So in one day, the whole world will know, will hear about Jesus, and people will come to know Christ. I don't know how many years it would take, probably 3 years, but that's the goal. We cast the vision. Habakkuk 2:2 said, write the vision, make it plain and clear, give it to the people so they could run with it. The vision is now given to the people. It doesn't belong to me. So now my question is, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, I think God is preparing hearts. The pandemic was a challenging season, but I think what you have, like, think of it as a quarter. The front part of the quarter would be people who are far from God, people who don't know the Lord. The flip side would be the believers. I think God is simultaneously, through this year, He's working on both. He is refining the body, us, and He's getting rid of junk so that we'll be saltier, right? So that our light will shine brighter. But then the flip side is He's preparing those who are far from Him. They're thinking about, hey, if I died, would I be right with God? So one day, 2020 is going to be an event where you show the good news before you share the good news. But at the end of the day, we want to share the gospel. We want to proclaim the gospel. And when you have an environment where there's trouble and people are concerned, that's the time to proclaim the gospel as much as you can. So I feel like God, what Susie just talked about, you have a environment, if you look at it with spiritual eyes, that God could do something incredible.
That's right.
And I think we're on the eve of a great revival. I really believe that with all my heart.
I believe that too. I think that many people are open because of this pandemic, because people have felt hopeless. It's an uncertain future. You don't know what's going to be happening down the road. You don't know if something else is going to happen again. They've talked about a resurgence. So people are very open to hearing the truth. And I think a lot of this has affected the homeless population. Absolutely. And so they are probably also ready to receive. So it's going to be a fabulous day. It's December 19th, one day 2020. I'm going to be there. You know I will. And so I just can't wait to see what's going to happen and how God is going to work in the lives of the people. But on top of all this, you are an author, Susie, and you wrote a fabulous book called 31 Days of Mountaintop Miracles, and then you have another one coming out. We can show the book, but you have another one coming out as well. Can you talk a little bit about that book and then tell us about the new book that's going to be coming out?
Sure. Okay. This book is called 31 Days of Mountaintop Miracles, and it has 31 stories that happened to me in Israel, India, Philippines, Dallas, Kenya. And these are all my stories of miracles, because unconditional obedience will take you to a place of miracles that would change the world. So miracles, as what Tom Lane even said, this woman, miracles follows her. That's the way he introduced me to Franklin Graham's assistant. And it seems like, I believe because of my faith, so it's the faith and unconditional obedience that would take you to miracles. So miracles still happens, and it's such an amazing thing. So this book, actually I was speaking in College of Nursing in Baylor College of Nursing, and then one lady bought my book. She gave me a paper. I thought it was just a paper. Then she said, "Oh, that's my payment for the one book I paid for." She said, "Open it." So I opened it. It was a student, nursing student, paid my book for $25,000. A nursing student. I mean, I was blown away. And then the next day, the next few days later, I have another email that said, "Susie, I could not stop reading your book. I could not stop crying, and it touched my heart greatly. So here's $10,000. Guys, and then all the money went to the homeless, of course, and it helped the homeless. The second book is called No, Not Me. And guess what? Moses said, "No, not me." And also, Jonah said, "No, not me." And also, Sarah said, "No, I could not be pregnant. I will not be pregnant." And guess what God has done? So that's my story, No, Not Me. It's an incredible book. It's my life story of how God changed. I hated, I could not stand homeless people. And guess what? God took me to 11 countries, helping 28,000 children, building schools in different parts in Kenya and Cambodia, and now in Israel. And next year we're going to fly there to open this amazing place. And now this second book is going to be out hopefully in the fall, this fall, because it will help us also promote One Day 2020. And I just want also to clarify that on the day of December 19, 2020, we have two events. The morning, it will be a big birthday party for Jesus where the homeless are the guests and the poor. In the evening, it will open up in the stadium at the arena and convention center. It will open up to the whole Texas population. So everybody in Texas invited to come to Dallas, and they're going to be filmed by TBN and different guests. So please pray, because right now we're still waiting for Franklin Graham to okay because of pandemic. They said okay before in February, but we're still waiting for him to really nail it and give us an okay. So please pray that the Lord will touch his heart, because remember, he's part of the vision. Because God said Franklin Graham will lead. And the Lord even told me, he said he will do it in memory of his father.
Yes, and I'm convinced he'll be there. He will be.
Well, we can't thank you enough for just sharing with us, Mike and Susie, and for joining us here on Pop Talk. But if you want to know more about Operation Care International, or if you want to volunteer for any of the events, including the Day One Day 2020, you can go to their website at operationcareinternational.org.
And we would love for you to reach out to us here at Pearls of Promise. You can email us at info@pearlsofpromiseministries.com. We're also on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Pop Talk Media. Our website is pearlsofpromiseministries.com. We also want to say thanks to our networks. We're on several now: Faith Unveiled Network, King Television Network, and recently added the Life Network for Women. That's Paula White's network. This show will be live streaming on Paula White's Life Network for Women Facebook page. So big things are happening with Pop Talk, and we're so glad to have you as one of our viewers. I also want to put a shameless plug out for my book. It's a new book that's out called The Root That Never Died, a Christian woman's journey back to her Hebraic heritage. It's all about my journey back to my Jewish roots, but also it has a lot about the Jewish roots of Christianity. So that book is now on Amazon. You'll want to get it. It's also on Kindle.
And of course, we would love to say thank you to our production team and crew at Grace Point Media. So for all of your media needs, always go to gracepoint.media.
So that's it for Pop Talk. We're just ordinary girls
who God is turning into pearls.
That is it. Have a great week. Hope you enjoyed the show.